What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to day 6 of 49ers training camp that happened here on Tuesday. We're a little bit later on schedule today, was out in the afternoon. So, training camp, my practice report up on Niners Nation, up around 4:30. We're here live at 5:30. And we're going to be breaking things down. There was a lot that came today. I thought this was the best practice so far. Offense had their moments, defense had their moments. I thought this was just a really, a highly competitive practice where both sides showed that work could be done. And so let's just get right into it. Yesterday, a little bit of a different vibe. Offense struggled, defense dominated. And today was different. The offense did a good job today. I thought the offense really, stepped it up and really competed. They dominated the first half of the practice, and then the second half was for the defense. So let's go through the offense in the first half of practice. It started off with a rotation between Elijah Mitchell, Christian McCaffrey, who was back out there, and Jordan Mason. All three great days for all three. I mean, it's just there's an infusion of just fresh juice really in the running back room. I thought all three looked good. McCaffrey consistently always just he elevates the play of everyone around him, the offensive line. He elevates their play, consistently finding holes, consistently creating at least 5-yard gains, and many more. And Jordan Mason, he runs hard. He's had juice all of practice or all of training camp. But Elijah Mitchell just looks like the old, the healthy version of Elijah Mitchell. This three-pronged rushing attack is going to be really good for the 49ers. You have insurance if somebody goes down, and they've got options, really. I think you can rotate a little bit more, and the 49ers running back group looked really good today, and that kind of spearheaded the start of practice. The quarterback. We'll start with Brock Purdy, and really what started it all off. First series was more run game. You saw Mason get a run. You saw McCaffrey get a run with the first team offense. You saw, a couple of things like that. Ricky Pearsall had his first catch of the day. It was the second series, the first with the number twos. Pearsall worked in with the twos to begin. He was in and out, but he had his first catch at training camp. It was a nice catch, too. Brandon Allen found him over the middle. The ball was a bit behind him. Pearsall adjusted, though, was free enough, got good enough separation to where he was open, adjusted, made the catch, probably about 12 to 15 yards on the play. A good catch and pass to Ricky Pearsall. That was his first play. Later on with the ones, that's when things started to get active. Brock Purdy, his first pass, it was a short crosser to Juwan Jennings. Elijah Mitchell had a good run. Christian McCaffrey had a good run. And then the next time Brock Purdy got the ball, he was sacked on his first play, just a little late getting the ball out, ended up dumping it off to Elijah Mitchell. Likely would have been sacked, though. But then right after that, that was the play of the day, or at least one of them. He found Deebo Samuel deep, Brock Purdy did, for 40 yards, a big one. Deebo Samuel worked against Isaac Yiadom on the left side. It was a go route. Jair Brown was the overarching defender, and he was converging in. He was close in coverage, but Brock Purdy, a good ball. Samuel finally was able to win a route against Yiadom on a deep ball. Yiadom, just Samuel beat him essentially on the go route. He was able to get separation. A great ball from Purdy. 40 yards or so. And if Samuel beats the tackle from Brown, it's a touchdown. A big play there. Just one of those explosives that you're used to with the 49ers offense. The next time Purdy came up, had a pass to Samuel, got back in rhythm. It was a curl, but it's one of those curls, across on the seam where the linebackers are there in coverage. You got to make sure you fit it in. Fred Warner was converging on the play. Purdy fits it in. And Samuel, because Warner was converging, he missed. You're able to get a good amount of yak on that play. So good start to the 49ers offense. Purdy on the play after hit George Kittle on an out route, and then had another stellar play. This one was one where, pocket converging, you still had space, but Purdy recognizes that McCaffrey is on Devondre Campbell. He's running a post, essentially like a corner post going to the outside. And so he rolls out of the pocket, and then on the run, rolling to his left, floats a good pass, probably 15, 20 yards over Devondre Campbell to Christian McCaffrey, who had beaten Campbell, gotten a sizable amount of, of separation. Campbell was more in a zone, but sizable amount of separation. And McCaffrey had just open field in front of him. Could have even been a touchdown, if he continued to keep running. Another big explosive play, symbolizing just the start for the offense overall. That wrapped up the first team session with Brock Purdy at quarterback. Elsewhere, there were a number of good runs. And that kind of was the thing. Second team, there were a couple of sacks, with that group. And so that was a part of it. But I thought the first team offense looked really good in that first period. And it's not just Brock Purdy or the running backs. It's a collaboration. I thought the offensive line was much improved today. I'll get to one-on-ones after offense and defense, but I thought the offensive line was definitely much improved today. Jake Brendel was back with the ones. It's not like necessarily he made a big difference, but the group as a whole, you had Jalen Moore, you had Aaron Banks, you had Jake Brendel, you had Dominic Puny and Colton McKivitz. I thought that was I thought they did a good enough job in the run game against the 49ers defense, and then well enough in pass protection. But first part of team drills, advantage to the offense for sure. Going forward though, like I mentioned, offense rolling, Brock Purdy rolling. This is where it begins to even it out, because the defense then began to kind of get their share of plays. So second team drills, we're back out there. First set of plays, Brock Purdy, a good ball. It's essentially like situational, and it was a third down on this situation. Brock Purdy found Juwan Jennings for a quick out, gets the first down on that play. Then you cycle through. The twos were there, and this is where the defense kind of started to pick things up. Brandon Allen, he found Ronnie Bell over the middle. It was a good ball. Bell ends up dropping the pass. Could have been caught over the middle, incompletion. With the threes, though, Josh Dobbs looking for Tariq Owens. Darrell Luter had good coverage. That sparked it, because then you go back to the ones. The next throw, Brock Purdy, he's looking for Chris Conley. This is a play where he was essentially scouring over the field, looking left to right, going through progressions, left side covered. So it was looking through the middle of the field. And this is a ball where, it's a little bit of a dangerous pass. One over the middle, where it's the receiver is stationary, and then you've got a defender converging in. He was looking for Chris Conley over the middle. Fred Warner really just jumped out of nowhere, jumped the ball, near interception. He ended up dropping the pick. But it was, it was one of those plays where you're starting to now be alert. The defense is starting to make plays. You've got to be a little more wary. Next time up for Brock Purdy, he had the first play was a very well-designed play. It was intended for Kyle Juszczyk, who was leaking out on the sidelines. One of those leaks, you usually see the tight ends kind of leaking out and getting open. This one was a fullback leak, and Juszczyk was wide open along the sidelines. Purdy was a little late getting to this throw, and that, the play, it had developed a little too far downfield. Diomedro Lenore realizes he's breaking in on the play, and the ball was not to the sideline necessarily, but to the inside shoulder of Kyle Juszczyk. That allowed Diomedro Lenore to break on the ball and record a pass breakup. He had two hands on the ball, just couldn't come down with it. This one was interesting. Again, Purdy threw this ball late. I thought it was a little late, but I also thought Kyle Juszczyk, could have made a better effort to go towards the ball, and instead of letting Diomedro Lenore essentially, like, I thought Juszczyk kind of let the ball come to him. That allowed Lenore to kind of break forward and pick it, or not pick it, but break it up. And so that was kind of the little bit of the discrepancy over there. But it was a weird play, another PBU, and more importantly, back-to-back PBUs for the defense. On the next play, Purdy scrambled. He hit. He had a nice throw here. He was moving to his right, pocket converging, moving to his right, and then he found George Kittle while working to his right for about a 15-yard crosser. Jair Brown was in coverage. A nice ball, good loft, good touch on it, and ended up getting a good gain. Following that, though, Purdy threw another incompletion. This one intended for Juwan Jennings. It was essentially similar to that third down where he was trying to get an out route, trying to find Juwan Jennings to move the chains, and Jennings just couldn't get enough separation on Rock Yassin. Yassin was, all over him, And then as Jennings was breaking, Purdy's a little late throwing this ball and throws it inside. And Yassine's able to come up and make a play on the ball, a PBU there, a little bit of a risky decision again, and an incompletion. Moving forward to the next portion of team drills when Brock Purdy plays, first ball, he gets sacked by Leonard Floyd. I believe Leonard Floyd was working up against Jalen Moore on this play, and he gets sacked. Ball, though, he continues to play. The ball is thrown behind a receiver, and Jair Brown picks this off. You can take it as you will. Wouldn't have been an interception in the game. He gets sacked, and maybe because of that, because of the nature of the play, you continue it and you maybe, try and push the ball into, a window or something like that. But this one was behind behind the intended receiver, and Jair Brown ultimately intercepted the pass. And it was a good play for the defense, and that was kind of the start of maybe some of the interceptions that you saw ultimately on the day. Going forward from there, after a good run from Christian McCaffrey, then came an ugly interception from Brock Purdy. He was essentially, it was like I was talking with a couple of people there. They characterized it as a Jimmy G type of interception, a ball where it was just over the middle and didn't see the linebacker, and the linebacker was just there. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles was the linebacker this time, essentially right to him. Not really, I think it was intended for Malik Turner. Malik Turner wasn't completely in the area of the ball. Just not a great decision from Brock Purdy. Ugly interception there. But like I said, defense, starting to pick things up here. On the next set of plays for Brock Purdy, started off with a wide open pass to Kyle Juszczyk, hit him for a good gain in the short area, turned upfield, probably a good gain. On the next play, though, he was looking for Jauan Jennings, probably would have got sacked on this play. Initially, the read was to Deebo Samuel. Samuel was going on an out route. He slips. Then the second read is the deep ball to Jauan Jennings. Jennings, it was essentially like a 50-50 ball. Jennings looking to high point it. He got two hands on the ball, couldn't come down with the ball. The ball gets tipped in the air after Jennings couldn't corral it, and Jair Brown George Odom this time gets the interception on the tip. And so interception here, another play where it might have been a sack, could have been caught, blah, 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 ends up being an interception. Then on the very next play, this one was another ugly one. Javon Hargrave, he's working one-on-one against Aaron Banks, just bull rushes him right into Brock Purdy. Purdy's late on a throw, was going to be an out route, to the outside, just a quick out. Purdy's a little late on the throw, but he gets hit essentially by Banks, who's being pushed back by Javon Hargrave, and Purdy throws a interception. Diamado Lenore in the area. He ends up this time corralling it, intercepting the pass. That was Purdy's final rep of team drills. The one other interception of the day was on the final play. Josh Dobbs, he threw a pick Ambry Thomas's direction that ended up being picked off. So as you can tell, a lot of ups and downs, and there might be some reason for concern. And I understand, you're hearing a lot of interceptions. You're hearing the offense peaking and then the defense peaking. To me, I thought this was just a really good practice. I thought the offense had their moments. I thought that they were cooking early. The run game was cooking. The pass game was cooking. You're moving the ball very well. I thought that was the strongest I've seen the offense thus far, especially with pads being on with the offensive line and defensive line battle. I thought that was the strongest I've seen the offense. And then on the second half of the practice, the defense, I thought they really stood up. The coverage was better. You're seeing a couple of differences, because it's a little bit more of a pass heavy install. You're seeing Purdy, and it's really tough in training camp to understand the situation, because this isn't necessarily a high stakes situation. It's not like you're trying to make the perfect throw every time or something like that. And so you're seeing Purdy push the ball a little more into more riskier windows than you might initially, or you're seeing him throw throws that you might not normally see him throw. And that leads to some of these interceptions. Not to say that these passes are all great. No. He had two, of the four interceptions that I recorded, two were pretty ugly. The one to Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and then the one where he was late on the throw and it ultimately got picked. So there were a couple of ugly interceptions. No doubt about it. But it was funny enough, at the end of practice, even with the 4 picks, I came away from today thinking this was a pretty solid day for Purdy in the offense still. And that was after yesterday when Purdy only threw 3 picks, but it was still, that one was a really ugly day for the offense. So there's different nuances to it. I think that there's a lot that goes along with how a day ultimately goes. especially in training camp when you understand the situation. Oh, he gets sacked, so he's going to force this throw, or he's going to just throw the ball and see what happens, kind of thing. And so, again, this is practice, right? But you also want to get good work in, and that's the most important part. I thought the 49ers really got good work in on the day. I wanted, though, to talk about real quick the one-on-ones because I've been waiting for these. I focused pretty much primarily on the offensive line and defensive line one-on-ones today because, with pads on, that's a good way to get some evaluation, see what the word was with the offensive line and defensive line. And I've said a couple of times, I was impressed by the offensive line today. And this was the area where I was most impressed with the offensive line overall. Let's get to it. I want to talk about just some notable names, what I saw from the group and kind of some of the better reps of the day. I'll start with the offensive side. Nick Bosa was out there today. And usually with Nick Bosa's out there, especially if Trent Williams is not out there, Nick Bosa dominates. He was out there in full pads after not being out there yesterday. But Nick Bosa had 2 reps in one-on-ones, and he didn't win either of them. He worked against Colton McKivitz on one of them. On the right side, he worked against Jalen Moore. McKivitz had a clean rep. Bosa wasn't able to get past him. He was clearly frustrated after the rep. And then he also had a rep against Jalen Moore. And this one, I thought was more even. Bosa slowly pushed Moore back and back and back, but usually in one-on-ones, you consider that a win for the offensive lineman. Moore was able to hold his ground. Bosa was not, he was frustrated after both of them. Took his helmet off. It was pretty clear. Later in one-on-one or in 11s, funny enough, during one of the interceptions, I thought, Nick Bosa, I saw him lined up against Colton McKivitz, and Bosa had McKivitz had another clean rep. Bosa wasn't able to get by him, ended up on the ground, and unfortunately that play ended up in a pick, but a good day for Colton McKivitz there. McKivitz had 2 reps on the day, I believe, or I charted him with 1 rep. I didn't see the second rep that he probably had, but Bosa didn't win either of them, and that's a big win for the 49ers tackle duo. Jalen Moore had another rep against Leonard Floyd, and Moore beat Leonard Floyd as well. A lot of, and I'm objective. I just call it how I see it. Last year, Jalen Moore struggled in these reps. He did not win many one-on-ones, and more importantly, was struggling in 11-on-11s. Moore had a good day today. He won both of his one-on-one reps against legitimate pass rushers, held up, especially in the run game, where those runs to the edges, you're seeing some good success on both the left and the right side. And so, props to Jalen Moore. Other guys that ended up playing well, I thought Brandon Parker, the backup tackle that the 49ers signed from Oakland or Las Vegas, I thought he had a solid day. He won a rep against Leonard Floyd and also won a rep against Yetur Gross-Matos. The 2 other defensive ends, the 2 marquee ones that the 49ers signed this offseason, Floyd and Gross-Matos, both paired up against Parker. Parker ended up winning them. Rookie Dominic Puny, he had 2 reps. Lost the first, didn't see to who. He bounced back, though. Had a good rep against T.Y. McGill, and he had an overall just a good day. I think he's starting to build a little bit. There's definitely going to be ups and downs, a little bit more. He had a couple of downs on Monday, but he's starting to build. I'm excited to see, I focus a little more on the offensive line and the defensive line today. I'm excited to see what Puny's able to do. And I like I said yesterday, even with some of the downs, there's a very realistic chance that Puny is your week 1 starter at right guard, given the current situation in the offensive line. Spencer Burford, he's out for a couple of weeks. Feliciano, dealing with the knee issue, and he also primarily played more, with the first team at center when he was healthy last week. And so I think there's a good chance for Puny if he can continue to prove that he can, play at this level. And so that was something that I saw on the offensive side. Lastly, want to point out Ben Bartch. Bartch lined up against Evan Anderson, Kevin Givens on separate reps at center, held up on both of them. He seems like the backup center at the moment, I don't know exactly the Brendel Feliciano situation with the injuries and the rest days and things like that. Bartch, though, the 49ers seem comfortable with him as the backup center. 2 good reps. He also has played some guard, but 2 good reps here in one-on-ones. Defensively, I think the biggest highlight was Javon Hargrave. Hargrave has killed Aaron Banks in camp so far. Aaron Banks has really struggled so far, especially to hold up. And he's got a tough matchup, no doubt, against Javon Hargrave, who looks slimmer, who looks more in shape, and he just looks prepared, primed for a bounce-back season. Bull rushed Aaron Banks on both of the reps today, won both of the one-on-ones, and he also dominated in 11 on 11s. He directly led to one of the interceptions. I thought that was a key part, and so that was something to definitely note. So Javon Hargrave, he's on the up. Aaron Banks on the down, unfortunately, and I think we do need to have a bit of a conversation about Aaron Banks because I have not liked what I've seen from training camp so far. Not the best year last year. And this is a contract year for Aaron Banks. The 49ers deciding whether they'd bring him back or not. I've predicted a couple of times I don't think the Niners are going to bring him back. And Banks has not looked great so far, especially when it comes to, really in both facets of the game, hasn't looked that good. I'm waiting to see when that bounce back kind of comes from Aaron Banks. Well, one-on-one reps, it was interesting because the offensive line, when you really just go back and look, I had a lot of reps charted. Really go back and look, I thought it was a good job by the offensive line. I thought they held up well enough, especially the top guys, and it was a good sign for sure for today. For the receiver one-on-ones and then the tight end one-on-ones, I don't have too many notes, but from what I heard from people right next to me who were closely watching them, Cody Schrader had multiple good reps in one-on-ones. That was a big thing. There's a battle between Juwan Jennings and Isaac Yiadom. No Renardo Green today, so Yiadom kind of got that role. Juwan Jennings won his rep. Cameron Latu as well he had a good day. He was held a couple of times on his reps, so those reps arguably don't count. But he did beat Jair Brown on and got pretty open on a rep. That one was a good one. What else? Elijah Mitchell had a nice rep in one-on-ones. And then also one of the bigger battles, Malik Mustafa against Braden Willis. Advantage Mustafa today. He won the rep today. With the receivers, Deebo Samuel struggled a little bit in one-on-ones from what I heard from people right next to me. Apart from that, no, I don't really, that's kind of the main things that I saw. Focused primarily on offensive line and defensive line. It's going to be a bit of a shorter day today. I have a lot that I've written so far and a lot that I'm going to write tomorrow. Definitely a lot of thoughts that I have on today, but I want to get to some of the questions or some of the comments. My guy 49ers Throwback is in here. Appreciate you. How's Dominic Puny doing? Like I said, doing better. Definitely, coming away intrigued from his performances so far, and I think that there's a role for him as a starter so far. Aaron Banks has been getting exposed. Not a good look. Aaron Banks is on my downtrend right now, and I was hoping for a better camp after his year last year. I'm not impressed right now. I think I don't know if he's regressed from his play from last year, but you wanted him to improve. He might be average or right below average right now, and he's a guy who's going to command a good salary in the offseason. The 49ers, I already said, probably aren't inclined to pay him, but you need good play from him this year, and I understand he's not playing next to Trent Williams, but still, it's his individual play that's also got to be very important. Hasn't looked great hasn't looked great so far in training camp. But I think that that's going to be it. Let me see if I have any other notes that I want to share with y'all. If you guys care about the special teams, Jake Moody was perfect today. Had 3 kicks from 32, 38, and 57 yards. Nailed all 3. We all know Moody has had a good leg. I think he's only missed 1 kick in training camp so far. Around 14 or 15 attempts, missed 1 kick so far, wide right. But he's hit a good amount of deep ones. He's hit, just with consistency, good volume so far. So good start to training camp for Jake Moody. But apart from that, we're going to be live back again tomorrow, probably a little earlier after I finish practice and the camp reports. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe because we are going to be live again, like I said, tomorrow and throughout the rest of training camp. Thank you guys. I'll catch you guys next time.